think we're live, mate.
Are we back? I'm thinking we're back. All the way back. How we doing, man? Has it been a long road?
Oh, it's been a minute, isn't it?
Not even just the last few weeks, but the last 40 minutes as well. It's been its own few weeks as well.
Yeah.
We're rejigging. We're moving around. We don't just take breaks for no reason. Okay. We stuff be shifting. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice, or maybe if you're listening to this on an audio-only platform, then you didn't notice anything, and I should just shut my fucking mouth and get on with it, really. But no, we haven't been on strike. We've had stuff going on internally, externally, on both ends, out our ends, up our ends. And yeah,
that part is news to me. But...
well, it's in the mail. You'll get it. You'll get it. But we'll post depending on where you are or what you're doing. But yeah, what's going on, mate? Busy weekend. You had a gig this week?
Yeah.
Or did you? Yeah.
Thursday. That was good.
On a Thursday.
On a Thursday, and there was a turnout.
Fuck that.
Yeah, well, it's the first one I've played in Ipswich, I think, on a Thursday before, and it was a better turnout than the last time we played there on a Saturday. So,
that's fucked up. I mean, you just never know these days, do you? The whole world's just all over the place. I don't even start putting on my death metal spikes until Thursday afternoon. So all the way up until that point, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not even thinking about coming into them crowds, killing everyone, getting it on.
Yeah, I was surprised actually. I thought there was going to be some crowd killing. There wasn't. Everyone was like the headline band were an international act, or I'd say they're mostly European, but they're all from different countries. But yeah, they had a bag full of inflatable hammers because it was slam, and they want to see some hammers, and there's normally just people doing this pretending to.
Fucking hell, mate.
But they literally had a bag full of inflatable hammers, and they just threw them out, and everyone was just having a fun little time.
Have one bloke in parachute pants, just extend the joke a little bit further than what it needs to be. Yeah, you got there. But while we're talking about killing crowds, people smashing shit up, swinging their arms about, flailing limbs, getting what they want. The strikes are over, George. They don't have to. They don't have to swing their arms anymore.
Well, they over a month ago, but we're just now talking about.
They are, yeah. We're a little bit behind on some of this stuff because we're just having a nice little catch-up episode to announce that we're back, like John Wick, and
anyone actually noticed.
But if you did, then maybe you wouldn't notice that the stories we're talking about, or some of them at least, are a little bit, sporadic in terms of the timeline.
Yeah.
I can't even remember if the writer's strikes were over when we last did an episode, or if it was the writer's strike had finished and now it's the actor's strike that is also finished. But either way, they're all done. Everyone's, I think, happy for the most part. People seem to be agreeing on it. They're getting what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, we're getting what we want because news and casting and development and on all these different projects is flying thick and fast. For example, I didn't even know this was happening, George, but they're doing a remake of Nosferatu. Did you know about this before I sent it to you?
I heard rumblings, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd heard rumblings of this for that they were going to remake Nosferatu. But I put it in the same category as The Crow, where they just talk about it and they just never do it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken this long, but I'm sure there's
reasons
other than the strikes. But yeah, no.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They just want to get it right, I guess, or I mean,
Yeah.
probably not. They just want to maximize their profits. But they released the first image for this, just
Mm-hmm.
suitably, shadowy and spooky. It has the vibe of what you would expect from a first image from a Nosferatu, just a shadowy
Yeah.
hand on the face of a Lily Rose Depp. Maybe too much of a name for this. I mean, there's some other names in this as well, but we got Bill Skarsgård in this Nosferatu remake as the
Yes.
titular as the titular Nosferatu. You think that's a bit on the nose? You think this dude needs to do something else other than like play just like iconic horror people? Like, I know he's only just done one, but like they are so big. Do you know what I mean? Like this and it or Pennywise, sorry, purists, and Nosferatu. Like, I don't
Mm.
know, you feel like that's too much, too similar.
I don't know, man. Like, you could almost liken it back to the original Universal Day, like horror days, where you had
Yeah, they used to the same like five
everyone
blokes doing
changed.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's a fair point. No,
Cast.
I'll let you have that one.
But
That's
no,
that's fair.
on the other side of the coin, like when I was watching Barbarian for the first time, when I first see Bill Skarsgård show up, I'm like, did sort of take me out of it for a second because it's like see a familiar face, and I think that can be an issue with a lot of actors. But if they're good enough, normally they slip into any role and sort of take you out of that frame of mind.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good
He's pretty
for the most
good.
part.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
And if you like
you're right.
slipping into roles, Nosferatu's all about slipping in, kind of eerily and
Yeah,
stealthily, non-consensually, probably,
he's the original creeper, really,
the
like
original
on
creeper,
screen creeper.
like
Yeah,
the original on-screen vampire, really.
yeah.
Um, like, we
Silent
talked a
movie.
bit a few weeks ago or many weeks ago at this point about like, l- influences on horror and like things that have like, genres and tropes that have sort of persevered. And this one it's like the oldest one, really. This is sort of like the oldest,
Literally,
most
yeah,
classic horror movie that's like feature length, with sound. Like this is
yeah.
like the OG. This is the Black Sabbath of horror movies, Nosferatu, I think. So you probably don't want to fuck it up.
No, not at all. And actually, it
Hopefully
was
not.
silent originally, wasn't it? I just looked that up. It was 1922, and it was originally silent. Um,
Yeah, I think they re-released it later on with like sound and like
okay.
effects and like ambient
Yeah.
noises and stuff.
Actually, happened
Um,
to know someone who was in a band called Fishclaw, and they were like instrumental for the most part, and they did a live like score to Nosferatu at the
that's a pretty good bit for a band to do. That's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I
is,
didn't. I was meant to go see it, but I didn't. But
oh
yeah,
well, you don't know, so we're just going to assume it was good, and
no,
maybe
I
this
saw
remake
them
will
on
be
another
good.
occasion. Sorry.
Okay, maybe they should get that band to do the score for the movie. Come
Yeah,
on,
good.
let's go.
They, but
Like, it won't be. It'll be all fucking pseudo eerie. They're probably going to really try, hopefully not too hard, to capture
mm,
that vibe. But maybe that's what people need these days. A lot of these big, huge movies just aren't hitting the way that they used to like 4 or 5 years ago. So maybe
we'll touch
something
on
that's
some
a was
later.
that?
Sorry. So we'll touch on some horror scores later. 'Cause,
Yeah, well, I was
yeah,
going to say, like, some maybe one of the films we talk about a little bit later kind of really, kind of gets back to basics, but also kind of enriches and deepens the genre. Not to give my opinion away too early or anything, but
I mean,
we'll see.
yeah,
We'll
I
see.
think I have one of the other films we're talking about in mind, but yeah, we'll get
We'll
there.
find out if they're the same when we get
Yeah,
there. But
anyway, do we have a rough idea for the release date on this Nosferatu? Also,
that's a
who's
good
directing
question,
it?
George, for somebody who doesn't have all of their notes available to them, due to some technical shenanigans. Actually, no, I do not have the release date. It's directed by the Northman's Robert Eggers, and that was quite a well-received movie that came out last year, I think, with Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah, I saw that. It was not my typical affair to like, or my typical sort of movie that I'd be into, but I actually did enjoy it. It was
I got a
really
confession
well
to
shot.
make about this, actually. So I think it was on the last episode we did. You talked about the film Barbarian. And for the whole time you were talking about the film Barbarian, for some reason, I thought it was The Northman. And that's why I said it was Alexander Skarsgård, not Bill
Right.
Skarsgård. And I just had them mixed up in my head because I know I just assumed that like a Northman is like a barbarian, it's just like some angry, beardy bloke or whatever.
Yeah.
I just conflated those movies somehow. And it wasn't until like like a day or two after we'd filmed the last episode that I was like, oh fuck, that's not the movie we were talking about. But what do you come to the Poproast podcast for if not well-informed, well-researched opinions on the wrong movie? So that's all well and good.
We know that it's coming out next year, and
it'll be next year. There's probably not. I think this is all filmed before the strikes. Probably not a massive amount of post if they're doing this in the way that you would imagine that they would hopefully be doing it. So yeah, this should be coming out next year, I reckon. Let me know in the comments, whatever. Just do it. If somebody has my notes, just drop them in the comments because I ain't got all of them. But what I do have is another remake on the docket of a classic, notorious movie, one Barbarella.
Yes.
Now, if you would have told me that they were remaking Barbarella, which they are, I would have been like, nah, we don't need that in this day and age.
How's that going to roll?
That's not going to roll very well at all, George, I don't reckon. But then,
maybe
Edgar Wright?
Yeah.
Edgar Wright, which is kind of an outside of the box choice for a movie like this. Apparently, he's a huge fan. I think, he brings just enough like reverence for like cinema and like not in like a a hoity-toity way, but just in like a layman's love for cinema, but a layman who also happens to be quite good at like whip cuts and editing and cool stuff. And, had a couple of good female. What was that?
Sorry, I was just going to say he is definitely a massive like film nerd.
This is a dude who knows and loves this shit. He loves these 90s, 70s French noir, but also he'll like a Batman or he'll like a Barbarella. So absolutely get this guy in there. I was going to say before, his last couple of movies have had like strong female leads. He Last Night in Soho and Baby Driver. She was a co-lead in that. Was it Lily James? Whatever. Correct me in the comments. Just keep correcting everything I do in the comments and just boost that algorithm right up into the stratosphere. All right, because that's what we need over here. Because we're coming back. YouTube's forgotten us. So, and you've forgotten us. And if you haven't, then you're here and then you've been reminded again. So you've doubly not forgotten us. But that one hardcore person is now equivalent of 2, I guess. And everyone else is like a -1. So we're still at a loss. But yeah.
But
Barbarella.
We are gaining a Barbarella, yeah.
I'm all about it. Like, I'm interested this. I'm not like a huge fan of it. I'm not one of those like cultists that kind of really go in for that kind of stuff.
To be totally honest, I know I've seen
Who
it.
does? People just think Barbarella, they're just thinking ladies, they're thinking high concept, fast paced exploitation. They're just like, that sounds like something that I want to jerk off to. That's all you know.
I'm sure it was.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'll check it out.
Moving on. There's no segue out of that, really, George. I put myself in a corner, mate, to be honest with you.
Sorry, no release date on that one even though that's next year.
I don't even know if that's next year because that's not even like started filming or casting or anything. So all we know at the moment is that Edgar Wright is developing, writing. He's working on it, but he's a dude who could probably crank out a movie like this in a reasonable time. So maybe we see it towards the end of next year. My guess would be that this is probably like a February, March 2025 kind of situation. I don't think this is like I don't think this is like a Halloween movie. This isn't like a summer movie. Do you know what I mean? So probably like an early March or something like that, which I think is roundabout where Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho have come out as well. So we'll see. A lot of stuff is going to start moving real soon. Obviously, you know, strikes have ended, but now we've got they just had Thanksgiving, you know, because they haven't had enough of a break sitting on their fucking laurels. Now they've got to fucking sit around talking about turkeys. So that's fine. But I think once we start rolling into the new year, I think a lot of things are going to hit the ground running really hard. Hopefully this is one of them, because again, I wasn't interested in it, but you tell me that Edgar Wright's doing it, and I don't love him as much as everyone else, but just him on that project, I think it's fun. Hopefully.
I'm pretty big fan of it, so yeah, I'm down.
I think Shaun of the Dead is a little bit overrated.
I know you said this.
It's a really good movie, don't get me wrong, but it's not the mecca of horror nerd culture that everyone makes it out to be. All right.
No. I hold it in my esteem, but yeah, I get you.
You know what I mean? It's fine.
I would fight the fact, you know, you put Zombieland over it. That does baffle me a little bit. But
oh shit, I did say that, didn't I? I've got to be careful now because everything that I say on this show is on the record now.
Yeah,
I've had people in my real life quote stuff that I've said on this show back to me, and I'm like, who the fuck, what, why are you saying that to me? What's that? And they're like, that's you. I'm like, what? One that springs to mind, from our Halloween watch along, I said something about big titted goth chicks putting pumpkins on their bedside cabinets or something. Anyway, you know, if you're going to call me out correctly, and I probably deserve it.
Yeah. While we're there, quick addendum. Like I did realize that I'd said, like, I think on 2 separate occasions I made like the dumbest, like, simple maths error of like saying it was 14 years between when Michael was a child and then it was 15 years. It's clearly like it says the 2. Never mind.
What are you, his fucking biographer? You're not the fucking making a murderer fucking research profile guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about it. Like, if there's somebody that you don't want to know anything about, it's a fucking murderer serial killer. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Who cares? Don't worry about it. Oh, what, you forgot his birthday? He's going to come and kill you. Like, does he even know when his birthday is? Anyway, we'll move on. Talking about, like, you know, like nerd meccas, big groups of people congregating for something that they are absolutely batshit fucking crazy about. There's a little thing that happened this year called Barbenheimer. You remember this, George? You were there.
I can't recall, mate. I don't remember hearing anything about this. What?
You were there for Barbenheimer. You were first in line with your
I still haven't seen either of them.
your pink hat and your nuclear bomb on your shoulder, celebrating the congregants of two, culturally disparate movies coming together to bring humanity together. Well, turns out that we weren't the only ones that heard about this, because a studio, a B-movie studio, of which I do not have the name of right now, but it has been announced, George, that we are getting a Barbenheimer movie, and that is not a heartfelt documentary about the cultural impact of two culturally disparate movies. This is a B movie. This is probably The Asylum, I'm guessing. Don't quote me on it, but I reckon there's a good 80% chance that it's The Asylum.
It's not actually Asylum. I can't find the actual production company who's in charge, but
they don't want to be found.
Charles Band's the one.
Oh, well, they're loving it, mate. You found them. They tried to hide from us, but you could not hide. So they're like, this is a cultural phenomenon. Let's put them together. Let's make this into a movie. Would you like to hear the plot synopsis? The movie Barbenheimer follows Dr. Bambi J. Barbenheimer, a brilliant scientist doll living in Dolltopia, a world of endless summers and beach parties, and her boyfriend. You ready for the best character name of all time? Her boyfriend, Twink Dolman.
Yeah.
So Dr. Barbenheimer, incensed by the brutal treatment of the dolls received at the hands of the human children, ventures out into the real world, where she experiences humanity at its worst and naturally decides to buy a giant nuclear bomb to wipe them all out. So Barbie is coming to bomb the world, which is exactly the kind of politically sensitive material we need right now. But if it's a doll and she's wearing a frilly print dress,
right,
then fuck it, come and bomb me, mummy. Let's go, I guess. So obviously we're going to be watching this.
Oh, definitely.
I can't wait for the trailer.
You haven't seen either Barbenheimer, Barbenheimer or Barbie.
I might even watch this first. I might even tweet a picture of myself watching this to Christopher Nolan. All right, and in the picture, I'm watching it on my phone with 3D glasses on. Because pretentiousness never got you anywhere. Or maybe it did. We'll see. We'll be the judge of that, Christopher Nolan. But anyway,
I'd say it's got him far enough, you know what I mean?
Oh, he's doing all right. Don't worry about him. He's going to be fine. Or is he? Yeah. When this comes out, he might. This prick might have a nervous breakdown. I don't think his ego could handle this. But I can't wait. This is one of my most excited things ever.
That's sad.
All right, also, second most excited thing after coming back to do this podcast with you. Do you feel bad now?
Not at all. But yeah, not at all. I do like. I think I've got a different article to you here, but like it's just got here. Charles Band, a B-movie veteran who pumps out low-budget titles with his company Full Moon Features, is producing this shameless cash grab. And hey, we're allowed to describe Barbenheimer that way. After all, Band himself admitted to THR.
The Hollywood Reporter.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thank you. This is 100% an attempt. 100% an attempt to capitalize on the success of Greta.
Of course it is, but isn't that what like all movies are? Like,
yeah.
So but, you know, I mean, obviously this is lowbrow to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But you know, there's room for everyone.
Of course,
there's room for everyone.
But, yeah, let me get this quote out. It just says, obviously you said it's 100% attempts to capitalize on that, but it's also an opportunity to have fun with the bizarre coupling of these two movies and the combination of Barbie's vibe with the darkness of Oppenheimer. You mix that together, and you have such an opportunity for dark humor.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean,
I love a contrast. I love a lovely bit of juxtaposition. You know, I like the Smiths. You know, where you could sing all happy about like hanging yourself in the shower or whatever. You know, with a joyful jingly melody for everyone to enjoy. Meanwhile, you know, Morrissey's just fucking eating himself away in a pit of self-despair or whatever. So this is probably up my alley. And of course, I'm going to see Barbie and Oppenheimer when there's somewhere that I can stream them, you know, for a reasonable price, ideally no price other than what I pay on my fucking Netflix or my Amazon or whatever else. I'm already like 3 weeks deep into Shudder at this point, just for one movie that I've watched twice. Again, we'll talk about it later. I was only going to do the free trial. Did I cancel it? Did I fuck? So I watched it again. But moving on, if you like watching horrible things again, little movie come out, and I mean little movie came out, called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Did you see this?
No, man.
Because it's not streaming anywhere that I know of. But obviously the story is that the rights to the Winnie the Pooh character kind of went, you know, they're open season now. Anyone can do what they want with it. It's past that threshold. You know, it's public domain. Here we go. So they made a lovely little $100,000 horror movie of Winnie the Pooh losing his shit, goes on a killing spree. It did, well, I say it did horribly. If I have this information here, probably not. Actually, I definitely do.
I'm gonna say it made enough.
It made enough. Right. It cost $100,000 to make, and it made 5.2 million. It does have like 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I've heard it's fucking terrible, but also people have also said you should check it out.
Pretty terrible. But you know, 5 million on $100,000 budget. That's a good profit on a property that cost you nothing to license. They spent nothing on the fucking makeup or prosthetics or costumes. As you can see if you watch the film, it looks just like a dude in a plastic mask, but in the movie it's not supposed to be a dude in a plastic mask. That's supposed to be Winnie the Pooh, but all they've got is a dude in a plastic mask. I'm not sure if we're going to throw these images up, but they've released a new image of the new and improved 2.0 Winnie the Pooh, and it is a considerable improvement. It still looks naff.
Yeah,
but it looks like it's in a movie, you know, as opposed to like, you know, your annoying cousin at a family Halloween get together. So that's fine. Not speaking from experience.
I was just gonna say.
But yeah, I know. I feel like this film, that it built up enough like notoriety off of just like how bad it was, that I feel like people are going to rush out for the second one more so than they did the first one, which is what you want from a sequel. But I don't know, I just think like the bad press could be turned into good press for the sequel for this. So probably still not going to get a theatrical release over here if the fucking first one still isn't streaming. Hope ain't high. You know?
Well, I try and track it down anyway, the first one. And
oh, absolutely. Oh, and if they don't call it Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 with the TOO, like Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, right? Like, if they don't do that, they owe me fucking 5.2 million because they've just fucking dropped the ball so hard. That is right there. Blood
That's
and
pretty
Honey
good.
2 with the two. That
Can't
is
see you getting
right
that.
there.
Yeah, I can't see you
Come
getting the
on.
check when
Absolutely
they don't.
come on.
But, yeah, we can hope.
But yeah, we'll see. And as for films that we didn't see, I'm talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. George, did you catch this?
I fell asleep on it, mate.
You fell asleep. So you didn't see it at the cinema. You got it at home.
Yeah,
on one of your screeners over there.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, this guy. When we were doing this shit together, you think he'd hook me up with this fucking official representative that he has in the studio system that keeps sending him all this free shit, and I'm just out here in the fucking barren wastelands, like a fucking like a schmuck. Anyway, no illegal activities. He watched the movie. I didn't. All right. And a lot of people did watch this movie. I wasn't familiar with the game. I don't know anything about it. I know the general premise, and I only know that because of the Nicolas Cage movie that was basically the same premise, and all the reviews of Willy's Wonderland said, "Oh, this is basically Five Nights at Freddy's." So that was the only reason I knew what this was. And I was like, I'm hearing some buzz. I'm in need of a good, hearty horror movie. A lot of the ones that we've seen and reviewed this year haven't been great. And then I hear Five Nights at Freddy's, it's breaking box office records. It's Blumhouse's highest grossing movie, period. I'm like, that is good news. I love to hear that. But why did it become their highest grossing movie? Oh, because it's their first PG-13 movie. So obviously that's why it's making more money, is because now you've got little fucking, scallywags going to see this. And this is a newish game, so they're probably more familiar with the game than I am, I guess. But it made 130 million in its opening weekend, which is pretty impressive.
That is, like if you put it at that, when you put it through that scope, kids
completely
films,
changes it. Yeah,
it does, but it's still like, for the subject matter.
Don't take away anything from it. Like, still that's still a nice chunk to be making. But like when you first hear or read those headlines of this is Blumhouse, like well-renowned horror machine at this point, and when you hear like this is their highest grossing movie ever, I'm like, fuck. Oh, because it's their first movie to be, not rated R or whatever. Yeah. So of course logic dictates that it's going to be. So yeah. So needless to say, I didn't see it. But that's fun. Blumhouse hopefully will pump that money back in. I mean, they're going to make like 300 other movies for that money. Do you know what I mean? Apparently it's okay. Josh Hutcherson is quite good in it. There's a dude who seems to be a reasonably solid actor who just hasn't had a lot of luck finding like an iconic, something to kind of stick his Josh little midget Hutcherson flag in. He's just a weird looking little dude. It's fine. He's
little. He actually
he was in the Hunger Games, and if you stand him next to the other guy, what is he, Peter, or is he the other one? I don't know. If you probably don't know. But there's the love triangle between him, Jennifer Lawrence, and then Liam Hemsworth, who looks like freaking Action Man. Like, yeah, he looks like a weird little dude.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I don't make the rules. But yeah, that's fine. Five Nights at Freddy's. So we could probably expect to see Six Nights at Freddy's at some point, if that's the way they're going to go with it.
Well, I assume there's more than one video game, so I'm sure there's like.
Apparently, there's a few.
Yeah.
Apparently, the movie takes a lot of inspiration from the second one, and like as far as like the lore goes, and it seems like it's a fairly cut and paste premise where you could easily, you know, do more of them and not have to do too many like leaps to explain why you're doing more of them, you know. So that's fine.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. And if you want more of something that you like, what you got anything else on that before we move on?
Not really. I was just I saw a trailer when I was watching Thanksgiving the other day, and it was Blumhouse, and it's called Night Swim, and it looked fucking terrible, man.
I've heard of this movie, and every time I hear the title, all I think about is An Evening with Kevin Smith, because he has a story that he tells where his at the time very young daughter catches him and his wife having sex.
All right.
And he says, "Oh, we're just night swimming." Like, as a thing that you just make up while you're like in the throes of passion. You need to like get this kid to like go back to bed or whatever. There's also an REM song called Night Swimming. So every time I hear that song, I think about Kevin Smith fucking his wife.
And his wife.
Which isn't a thing that I think of any other time. I just remember this one bit from his DVD. And now this movie is also called Night Swimming. So what I want to know is, do they use the REM song, and then we complete the trifecta? You know, link it all together.
It's Night Swim, not Night Swimming.
Night Swim. Whatever. You do it once, you do it twice. It doesn't matter. We're swimming in the throes of passion. Okay. So that's fine. I had some thoughts on some trailers actually. Not really specific trailers in any way, but just the last couple of movies that I've been to see, I feel like they've extended the trailers, all the trailers, like, because you know, you see the same trailers every time you go a lot of the time. And I feel like the last couple of times I've been, I've seen the same trailers that I saw the other times, but like longer versions. And I'm just wondering if like a lot of these like big movies that just aren't performing as well as they used to, like the last few years, it's made the studios think, I know what we need to do. We need to put bigger trailers, more in the trailers, which is the exact opposite really of probably what you need to do to get people to want to come and see a movie, because you want the mystery, right? But that knucklehead studio mentality is just like, make the trailers longer, add extra scenes. And I've just noticed that in like a handful of trailers that I've seen lately. So I don't know.
I'm not sure entirely. But I know obviously you have your teaser trailers and you have some that are made for like TV spots. You have various edits, but I think there's some trailers where I actually really want to watch a film and I don't really want to watch the trailer. But like since we've been doing this, like some of them, admittedly, if it's something I really want to watch, I don't watch the whole trailer. Like I'll watch just enough, and then I'll just like,
you're trailer edging.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they are. It's because there is too much in the trailer, and like,
no, absolutely. I wish I had the willpower to like just stop playing a trailer halfway through. But I'm already here now. I've got a climax, you know.
Yeah, admittedly, I stopped watching trailers for the longest time because of stuff like that, and then I was just like, I don't want to, have any, preconceptions going into if I'm going to watch something at the cinema or whatever. So
yeah,
I didn't watch them at all, and then I heard of someone actually, funnily enough, on another podcast who adopted a method like similar to that, and I was like,
yeah,
it's not a bad idea. Like, so.
That's not bad. I'm selective over. I'm more now over what trailers I watch. Certain films where I'm just like, I know I'm going to see this anyway. I'll watch the trailer, which kind of sounds counterintuitive, but then when it's like a movie where I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm want to see it, or something like a bit smaller or like obscure, whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see that, but I've heard like a synopsis and it sounds good. I'm like, I'm not going to watch the trailer because the trailer will put me off of watching it because it will show me too much. So then when it's the smaller movies, I try and avoid the trailers. But when it's a bigger movie, again, partly because we're doing this, and also depending on, if it's like a comic book thing or whatever, I'm probably like all my Twitter feed and everything is like balls deep into that stuff anyway. So I'm probably getting that stuff ruined for me before I see the movie. So then I'll just feel like, fuck it, just enjoy the trailers. Why not,
Yeah.
So swings and roundabouts.
But was there a new trailer you wanted to mention there?
No, not specifically, funnily enough. Like I say, it was just like a general trend I've noticed in the last month or two.
All right.
That the trailers are getting longer and more, detailed. And I'm just like, is that a reaction by the studios because all the movies aren't doing as well? And it's like, if your movie's not doing that well, that doesn't mean make better trailers or longer trailers. It means make fucking better movies. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't want to teach grandma how to suck eggs, studio executives, but pay the people, do what you need to do, and make a fucking good movie. And if it's good and it's got substance and excitement and things that people like for the last 100 years, those haven't changed, but you just got to put those in the movie, right? Anyway, so it came out that Aardman Studios, during the production of Chicken Run 2, which we've talked about before, because we love a bit of chicken over here at the Poproast podcast.
Yeah.
The story come out about 5 days ago that Aardman Studios have gasp horror run out of clay. And very quickly, Aardman were very eager to come out and say, we don't know where that story comes from. That's not true. We're fine. Which I think is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. If your whole deal is making claymation movies for the last 30 years and you are the top dogs, the alpha daddies of making claymation, the last thing you want getting out is that you run out of clay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I absolutely think they run out of clay, and I think they just try to squash that story hard. Whatever intern let that leak is getting whipped. Absolutely whipped. Logged with clay beating tools.
Yeah, all I saw was part of the rebuttal which said stop motion fans can breathe a sigh of relief. As it was
they
reported.
Absolutely did run out of clay. I don't care what their fucking official statement was.
It seemed pretty sketchy. But yeah, did it say something about sketchy. Their supplier is actually going out of business, and but they already have a massive backlog of clay and something like that.
I'm no artist, George, but I don't know if this is a really ignorant thing to say, but is clay, it's just like dirt and water.
Well, obviously modeling clay gets refined or put through a process to make it
process. It's just dirt and water.
Sure there's a natural source, yeah.
But basically, it's just dirt and water.
I wish I'd watched how it's made on modeling clay, but I can't.
Right. If anyone knows the recipe for clay, drop it. Actually, don't drop it in the comments. Sell it to Aardman because they might need it, and then come back to us and drop it in the comments. All right. Yeah. But it's dirt and water, guys. just fucking slap some fucking mud together and make a little fucking northern man eating cheese or whatever.
I can't believe you didn't run with your headline there, though. You totally missed your opportunity.
Oh, I did miss the opportunity, but you put me on the fucking back foot. Chicken runs out of clay, everybody.
There you go.
There you go. Chicken runs out of clay.
Say it once more.
Get it? Chicken runs out of clay. Don't get me started because I've got a whole other list of puns. I'll make this fucking shit go on till fucking midnight, mate. All right. All right. Just a couple real quick. So it's a chicken movie based on a war movie of The Great Escape. And I was like, what if they based some other chicken run movies on other war movies? What would they be called? Right. And
let's hear them.
I started thinking of these, and have I done this bit before? Because part of my brain was like
before.
I've done something like this before, but I don't think I've done the exact same thing because I looked through all my notes and I couldn't find anything. So I reckon we're good. But anyway, here we go. Bridge on the River Cluck. The Hurt Flocker. How do you like that? Parmo of Glory. We Were Nuggets.
These are not vegan-friendly titles.
These are not vegan-friendly titles. Maybe this next one is Corn on the 4th of July. All right, I've got a couple more. Winglorious Bastards. Saving Frying Ryan.
Yeah.
Schindler's Crisp. Read from that what you will. Okay, that's not offensive. I'm just talking about crispy fried chicken. Okay, and last but not least, Full Breadcrumb Jacket.
That's a good one. I like that.
There we go. You're welcome, Ardman. You might have run out of clay, but you have not run out of ideas, thanks to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So what else have we got on here? Have you you heard about this Scream drama? There's a lot of Scream drama going on.
No.
Okay, so I've tried to avoid it, right? Because any Scream news that comes out, bear in mind, I've only still seen the first one, and I know that right, and due to the nature of like how this franchise works, hearing who's in what movie is such a spoiler because like you're gonna be like, oh, that person was the killer, or that person was killed in this movie or that movie, and I'm trying to avoid it all. But we've had two people who are no longer in the next installment of Scream. Is it Scream 8?
Yes.
It will be Scream 8. So what's her name? Marissa something? I haven't got it here, damn it. And anyway, she tweeted some stuff about the stuff going on with the Palestine, Israeli, Hamas, all of that stuff. Okay. I'm not going to pretend to understand the politics, but she tweeted out that she didn't like that one side were killing the other side. And I'm sure that is a very valid opinion to have, regardless of which side you have, i.e., just stop fucking killing each other, people. What the fuck are you doing? Do you know how hard it is to be alive? You know how much effort I have to put into somebody for 3 fucking minutes to make a life? Like, stop fucking killing people, right? That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, so she tweeted out some stuff, some opinions on that, and then she's been fired from the movie because of that, which is bullshit. And then the next day, Jenna Ortega is like, I'm leaving for scheduling issues. I reckon she's probably just standing in solidarity with her Latina, friend, colleague, person in arms. or whether that's not being confirmed because, you know, scheduling conflicts or creative differences are just the go-to, and that's fine. But yeah, so it looks like they're completely rebuilding the Scream franchise from this next movie. They're rewriting it.
Wow.
I know Neve Campbell has been kind of showing some like disdain for like how she's been treated by the franchise in the past. I reckon, and again, this is somebody who doesn't really know the franchise that well. If I'm the Scream producers right now, I give Neve Campbell whatever she wants. You get her back on board, and you move. That would that be the logical thing to do, George?
I'm not sure because I haven't actually seen Scream 7 either.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I thought there was a bit of retconning going on or something. I might be wrong there.
I know they're kind of doing some sharp, from what I understand, they've kind of did some sharp turns, you know, with the last couple of movies. Not all the Scream fans are loving it, but a lot of other people are. But they've not performed exactly to expectations from what I understand. So, and, you know, in this day and age of like, let's bring the legacy cast back, I think Neve Campbell is the obvious way to go, right? That's how you get everyone back on board.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's pretty ridiculous that someone would get fired for voicing pretty valid opinions.
This kind of stuff is happening a lot, more so with this particular issue than, you know, a lot of other issues. And again, I don't understand the politics, you know, and I'm not going to try and address it in any kind of way, really, other than, you know, I just wish that people wouldn't kill other people. Really,
killing people over religion,
just,
and
like that's it. Exactly.
Yeah, it's all
like,
well, it's not as
basic.
simple as that.
It should be. Anyway, and, you know, and saying as much, you know, just as like, not even like a particular side of the political spectrum, but just as like a fucking human, like wanting these things to not be happening is fairly reasonable. But again, the people in these studios with the money, you know, obviously have, you know, some other kind of investment and stakes in these issues where to them it's, you know, fire worthy, as it were. So fuck that. Absolutely fuck that.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor. Fantastic Four probably being cast, but not being confirmed. We did tease at the end of our very first episode, George, because I thought that the casting was about to happen, and then all the strikes just kept on going, and it never did. So we'll wait for that to be confirmed, and we'll talk about that properly. Because if it's who it is rumored to be, I will have thoughts, and we'll get to it. Did you see the Planet of the Apes trailer?
No, that's what I asked you about. I was like, you know, any trailers in mind?
Yeah. No, well, to be honest, I literally watched it like before we came on.
Right.
It looks very bright, very hopeful. Apart from the fact that it is literally like ape warlords like enslaving humans, I'm not sure how well this movie's gonna do. Did you see the last one?
That was not Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, was
No,
it?
that Dawn was the second one. Then the third one was War of the Planet of the Apes.
No, I
tell you what, right?
Man, I can't.
For a summer blockbuster, that movie was dark and grim as fuck. We were talking about war movies earlier, right? This movie, that movie was basically like fucking The Great Escape, but with apes. You know, like it was dark. Like they're getting tortured, they're getting fucking mistreated and like enslaved. It was not a fun time summer movie. It was a good movie, but it was not a fun movie. This movie, despite the fact that now the humans are the slaves, does look like it's trying to get more back into like the sort of adventure kind of fantasy part of it, you know. So
Right.
it looks good. It looks lovely. CGI is great. They've got those ape effects down by now, you know. So it, not to take anything away from the people that put work into that, but you know,
Yeah,
they've
is
got
it
it.
like motion capture sort of?
They've figured it all out. Obviously, this would be the first one without Andy Serkis, but he shepherded, I think, the way enough at that point to, you know, they've just got those apes on fucking, you know, on
Unlock.
control. They're just fucking paste them in. Want an ape? You got an ape. Everyone's got an ape. Moving on.
Yeah, I think we've done like an hour on news, man.
Hour on news, and there we go. We are on to it, everybody. Yay! Commercials.
Great party, isn't it?
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence.
And we're back.
We are back, everybody. And, you know, a lot of people have been back from maybe their Thanksgiving celebrations, enjoyments, stuff in your face, stuff in your turkey, and then stuff in your face with the stuffed turkey. We're not doing that because we don't do that.
No, we don't.
But one of us at least, did go and see a movie maybe about some of that. Probably not about that, really. It's probably not a wholesome vibe from what I'm gathering. But George did get the chance to check this movie out. Did you not?
I did. And yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So
when did you see this? When, where, all the stuff?
Well, Odeon last Wednesday, actually, which I believe was the day before the actual Thanksgiving.
I thought Thanksgiving was this week, so
I think it was the last week, like last Thursday. I think it's on a Thursday.
Okay.
They have like
timelines are getting weird, everyone. We're recording on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So whenever it was the Thursday before this Sunday that we're recording was probably Thanksgiving.
Oh, useless information. Well, I guess not.
Tell us in the comments, whatever. Tell us how we disrespected your American heritage of stealing land and pillaging people.
What I gather is actually was based. The origins are British colonialists. Colonists went over, and it was some sort of feast that happened between them and some native people.
Yeah, it was definitely that. And before, I've got to correct myself, sorry, before anyone, because nobody's gonna, but just in case they do, I'm fully aware of the irony of a British person calling out another country for stealing land, okay? But what are you going to fucking do about it? Leave a comment. Tell me how much you hate me. But meanwhile, George, tell me about this movie.
Sure, yeah. So some people might be familiar, like obviously we talked about it before while this announced. But this is just an elaboration on the fake trailer Eli Roth put together for the 2007 Grindhouse double feature by Tarantino. Sorry?
It's been a long time. 2007.
I seem to remember, like, I wasn't, as big into film at the time. I was still watching films, but I wasn't, invested in the ins and outs and, everything about them. But I remember hearing that about these trailers, and then Machete was obviously made from that trailer.
That was like 2010, I think. Machete
yeah,
came out.
9 or 10, I think. Yeah, people commented on this one, and I remember watching it and thinking, yeah, that should be a movie, as many other people obviously did.
Yeah,
And we finally got
most
it.
trailers should be movies.
Yeah. Yeah. But obviously this fake trailer, we finally got the
real deal.
The real deal. And yeah, I'll just run through the basic plot. Set in Plymouth, Massachusetts, which is historically the town where Thanksgiving feast and the tradition began. You're working with a local sheriff arriving at a home, preparing for a Thanksgiving dinner, and the father of the family here, who's like the owner of the local Right Mart, which is basically like a Walmart sort of deal, which is gearing up for its Black Friday sale. And we set up some characters and relationships. Store owner, his daughter, her boyfriend, and established quickly that the daughter's mother passed away, and she now has this kind of gold digger bitch stepmom. They don't get along, whatever. And then we have a store manager, his wife, the local sheriff, some other family members. And
Is
the manager
the
gets called
boyfriend
in
coming for Thanksgiving dinner? Is that what
Yeah,
we're
of course.
doing?
Yeah.
He's coming for Thanksgiving dinner. Of course he is.
Yeah, they're there. They can't wait to get out of there to meet their buddies. The store manager gets called into work early when he's just about to start carving the turkey up. And so he's going there for the store opening, and then we get the daughter and her friends show up, cut to the store, and outside we've got a bunch of disgruntled customers waiting, to grab their electronic device, whatever they do, get all the bargains in before anyone else can. And they're all getting aggy, and we see the daughter and her friends get in for a back door, whatever. And then, basically they manage to sneak in, and then some other people clock on that they're in there. And then they're all like, taunting them from indoors. And then one thing leads to another. They all storm the store. There's like 1 or 2 security guards. One of them cowardly flees the scene. And so a riot takes place. One of these, jocks is filming it. And there's a couple of fatalities. And then we cut to a year later. We see in the footage that this kid took that's been edited into this YouTube style video. See news broadcasts about the events a year earlier, and how this store owner's still, going ahead with another Black Friday sale, and people are, picketing it, and it just sets up, sets up a bunch of red herrings and people with motives. And then, soon enough, the daughter of this family, and obviously people are blaming the store owner and her family for what happened, and they start getting
They've got no remorse because they're having another fucking sale on the anniversary. Yeah. So we know what they're about. Capitalism is bad, everyone.
I forgot to say, when we get these people outside the store just before they bust in to this riot scene, there's this dialogue. Eli Roth has always been pretty I'm not his biggest fan, to be fair, and if you revisit Hostel or Cabin Fever, there's a lot of just the classic horny teens, early 20s, shit, just fucking, and there's all this profanity, and there's just constant F-bombs, and then you get a 40-year-old woman tell someone to suck her dick. That's okay, right.
What is this, 2013? Come on. We don't say that anymore.
Regardless, initially I just
say,
felt
kiss
like
my piece. That's what we say.
Kiss my piece. Yeah. Regardless, I just kind of felt like early on that we were getting like characters that were just, you just can't wait to see them die, sort of that old,
Do you
thing.
think that's intentional? You think he's doing
I don't
that
know.
on
It's part of
purpose,
the
or is it just
course.
like he's so bad at writing realistic characters that you just want them to die?
Yeah, in a way, I feel it's sort of part of the course in a slasher film, but not at the same time. Like, I think it's good if you can make me care about a character and like,
and then kill him.
have a bit more,
Yeah.
stakes, or I don't know. But regardless, we cut to a year later, as I said, and it's just like building up, like I said, establishing these people with motives and like all these red herrings, and then all of a sudden this girl and her friends, they all get these get notifications, and they're tagged in these posts where there's like a dinner table set for Thanksgiving, and all their names are at the table, and then of course, they start getting picked off and added to the table, or
Picked off like
brought to the
turkey
table.
bones.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you will see this.
Yeah,
So
we'll keep it spoiler free.
yeah, so I just go from there. So yeah, they start getting tagged in these cryptic posts, and then of course killings begin. We're taking on this like it's just like a murder mystery, whodunit sort of trip with some inventive. I say some of them are questionable kills. Keeping it in the theme of Thanksgiving and a Thanksgiving dinner, utilizing various kitchen utensils, and
he's mashing people. He's yamming things down their throat. You get it?
right.
Yam. Still don't know what a yam is, by the way. Tell me in the comments.
They're like sort of potato things. It's funny you say that.
Tell me in the comments, George.
All right, I'll let them tell you. I've got a yam story, but I'll leave it.
Okay, we'll save that. That sounds. I'm intrigued now.
Someone else. Yeah. So, how to summarize? I say like the cast, somewhat like unknown for me. There's a few like big names, notably Patrick Dempsey, who plays the sheriff, who's Dr. McDreamy of Grey's Anatomy.
That's not his actual name, is it?
I swear it's like McDreamy or something. It might be spelled
Dr. McDreamy.
Yeah, he was like the heartthrob doctor. From what I gather, that all the mums
I haven't even
love.
seen him. Just a name, Dr. McDreamy.
I'm sure he's been in some movies too, but
he's famous. Yeah, he's a well-known character actor that I can't think of anything that he's been in off the top of my head, so I would need to see him. But I'm just dreaming.
Yeah, so you have him. You have Gina Gershon, who's been in a shitload of TV stuff that you'd probably be familiar with. Ugly Betty, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I thought you watched Ugly Betty. I don't know.
I've never watched Ugly Betty in my life. I fucking lived it, mate. I didn't need to watch it. Oh, well, Ugly Betty.
Killer Joe. You've seen Killer Joe, though, right?
Yeah, I've seen Killer Joe. But I'm not sure if that's better or not than Ugly Betty, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just a fucking chicken fucking hitman, or I'm just a fucking ugly news reporter, or whatever the fuck she's supposed to be, magazine fashion person with braces on and a fucking summer dress in New York in fucking October. Stupid. Moving on.
Yeah, so like most of the cast, like I said, there's a couple of Eli Roth returning like actors. The guy who plays the store owner and the father, Rick Hoffman, he was in Hostel. And he's like kind of he's like the American client. The guy, when he's like escaping, he bumps into him and he's like, "Oh, I want to do it like this with a gun," or was there's some questionable performances, but there's.
But it works for the tone, right, of the movie.
It does.
It's not trying to be something. It's just like, because like Machete was just like, we know this is a trailer of a thing, like it's just stupid, like, but it's fun and stupid.
Yeah. There was a recognizable face as one of the security guards, Chris Sanderford, who plays Derek in What We Do in the Shadows. The one in Guillermo, the one that gets turned into a vampire, and season 5.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to give it away because we haven't talked about it yet.
No, we haven't. I'm still in early stages
He's
of
the one that
season
works
5.
in the 7-Eleven.
All right, yeah. Well, I'll come back to it, and I'll tell you that I remember who it is when we get there. Maybe the next couple of weeks, everyone will be talking about season 5 of What We Do in the Shadows. So that is coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, definitely
soon.
But other than that, man, like, it was shot well enough. Like, the cinematographer was a camera operator on Hostel, Milan Chadima. Some good shots. There's a lot of like B-roll.
I don't imagine like the production side of like movie making is where Eli Roth, like, he's got that stuff on lock. He knows what he's doing in terms of like, like cameras and effects and practical and lighting and all of the technical stuff. I feel like he's got that shit pretty tight, and then it's just a case of like you say, like the characters or the dialogue, but then because of the style that it is, it's like, well, you can kind of get away with like, is that supposed to be bad? Is it not supposed to be bad? But he's a solid director, like him or not. Like he knows how to make exactly what he wants to make. Whether or not anyone likes that is a completely different. Yeah,
it's a different matter. But I would argue that there are some things that he's like. I don't want to say this is reinventing the wheel in any way. Like, but he's good at like highlighting the worst of humanity. If you know what I mean? Like, just reminding you that.
Well, he's got to be, because the way that he likes to kill these people. He's got to make you fucking highlight the worst, because you can't love these guys when you're fucking slicing them open the way that he likes to do.
But on the note I touched on scores, like, I've noticed a lot more like horror movie scores of more recent horror films that are just kind of like, you get some that return to the synth and the like stings, the classic like orchestral horror score. But a lot of them been doing it, but like kind of like to lackluster.
I feel like a lot of horror scores are trying to go back to like a more classical thing, because they just feel like that's going to bring like some gravitas or some like extra like clout to it. People are too scared now, after like the 2000s. We talked about like a Freddy versus Jason, where like you had those hard like new metal, Korn was on every soundtrack. People are so scared of that they're just like, we'll just flip the complete opposite way. There is a film that we are going to talk about in a bit that I think really does a good job of balancing that. But I'm intrigued to hear the score for this, because I'm like, is he going to try and get like some holiday kind of like jovialness in there to kind of upset the tone a little bit?
I didn't really pick up on so much of anything like that, but I'd say it's Brandon Roberts who composed the score for this, and he worked on The Nun 2. He worked on
well, yeah, must be good.
Scream 4. He's also worked on like Logan, Wolverine, Fantastic Four. But yeah, it's kind of just cookie cutter horror score. You get the stings.
This is a guy, based on the list that you just read off to me, like, you know, you might want to say like it's cookie cutter and average, but he keeps getting, you know, reasonably high profile movies. I mean, maybe not isn't necessarily high profile, but Logan was only like 6 years ago. You know, and the Fantastic Four movies were a lot longer than that ago. So he's, you know, this is somebody who's definitely like jobbing like consistently.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I'm interested to hear and see this piece of shit.
Well,
review notwithstanding, he hasn't given his review yet. It might be good.
Well, funny enough, yeah, like I say, like character arcs and whatnot, you know, aside, like, you know, people you come to expect, you don't come to expect too much, you know, in that department when it's a slasher film at the end of the day. And it's a fun little slasher film at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, probably Eli Roth's best work to date.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I give it.
I don't love like the Hostel stuff. I quite like the Cabin Fever. I think that's quite good.
Yeah. I haven't rewatched.
Actually, I'd probably say that was probably his best one that I can think of right now. I really appreciated what he did with the house and the clock in its walls, but that was more just because it was such like a departure from what he normally does that I think that was effective.
I never actually caught that one.
Yeah, that's the kids movie. Like it's a pretty spooky kids movie, but it's Kate Blanchett is in it.
All right.
It's not Jack Black. It's somebody. Jack Black was Goosebumps, and it's very similar in tone to Goosebumps.
Right.
Maybe it is Jack Black. You know what? I don't know. But yeah, no, I saw a whole bunch of that movie. I thought that was quite good, but again, it was just because it was stacked up against the expectations of what he usually does.
Yeah.
And he's got the Borderlands movie coming up, which I believe he finished filming that, and then they were supposed to do some extra work on it, but then he dropped out to work on this movie, and he handed over the reshoots of the Borderlands movie to director Tim Miller, who did Deadpool. So a lot of people kind of worried, like, oh, what's going on with that? But I don't know. I'm interested. I like his. I don't love all his movies, but like I said, I feel like he knows what he's doing or what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And I think that sets him at least, maybe not head and shoulders, but at least like shoulders above a lot of like people working at the moment. You know. So
well, yeah,
I'm looking forward.
Definitely. I did want to touch on that as well. Speaking of expectations, like obviously we saw that trailer before, and there's everything in the trailer. When I see the new trailer coming for this, you can't help but compare and like kind of hope for some of these things. Like, you know, you see the person in the turkey suit get decapitated in the Thanksgiving Day parade and stuff, and I'm like, is this going to happen? I don't even remember the very last seconds of that trailer where it shows him with the human turkey thing.
Right, yeah.
And he's doing things to it. I was like, I can't see that happening in this, and that's the one spoiler I will give. If you're expecting that, you know, don't go.
But there's enough in here to like keep you like engaged as you go along, and
that's one thing I will say is everything that happens in the trailer, you're hoping for it to happen. Things get flipped in an interesting way, and still like that is one thing. Another thing Eli Roth does well with like violence and horrible injuries, they always like make you wince, and that there's plenty of that. So
perfect.
But yeah, I got a quite generous rating for it. I'll give it 4 out of 5 human turkeys. So
I knew you're gonna be turkeys. I didn't know it's gonna be
hold the
human
cranberry
turkeys,
sauce,
but I was like,
yeah.
I was thinking the rating was gonna be turkey related. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I want to see it. It'll probably be streaming soon, I would imagine. And I've already got fucking Shudder for another month at least, so maybe it'll pop up on there.
Yeah.
Probably not by the end of the year, but we'll see. We'll see.
It's also it's made 22 million at the box office so far. It's possible.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it probably cost
been
like
left
he
open
probably
for
made it
sequel.
for like 5.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch that.
Yeah, no, it probably. I guarantee this movie is well profitable at this point. Compared to what it would have cost.
It's
Unlike
definitely
the movie that I'm going to talk about.
Oh, go on then.
Which off of a alleged $270+ million budget, it's made like 120, maybe 140 at this point, something like that. It's not doing so well. It's a rough year for the Marvel movies, everyone. It is not good. And this movie is not only a Marvel movie, it is fucking called The Marvels. This is Captain Marvel, and we're bringing her in with Kamala Khan, who is in the Miss Marvel Disney Plus show, and the Maria Rambeau character who was in the WandaVision TV show. So this is one movie character here and 2 characters from TV shows that have done okay. But they're coming over to the big screen. We're exploring the relationship between all 3 of these characters, how they're related, not by blood, but by circumstance and by, everything else that they've got going on with their powers and everything. Directed by Nia DaCosta, who did the Candyman remake, which I still haven't seen, but I hear is decent.
Yeah, I've heard.
So that's all I'm hearing. This movie is not doing well. The critics are not loving it. The audience score is a lot higher than the critic score. Like the audience score is up in like the 70s, whereas like the critics is like further down to like towards the 40s. The first Captain Marvel made like well over $1 billion, but that was afforded the fortune of coming out in between like the 2 biggest Marvel Avengers movies, and it was like, oh, you've got to see this one to know what's coming next for the big cliffhanger kind of thing. And that kind of stuff did work in its favor. Obviously, a lot of toxic fan base, people, having a pop at a woman that they're never going to get the chance to be inside of. That's all it is. Sorry. And yeah, so this one, we're bringing in 2 of these TV characters, Kamala Khan, who is played by Aman Vellani. In the Miss Marvel TV show, she is absolutely incredible. Like such a captivating, energetic kid, who's not really done much outside of this stuff as of yet, but just instantly transitions from the small screen to the big screen, and it's just, so engaging and really entertaining to watch. So we've got all 3 of these different super powered ladies. Their powers are switching, they're flipping about, they don't know what's going on, what is going on with that. The plot is, I wouldn't say the plot is thin, but the plot could have been unfolded in a thicker way, or in a more interesting way. But visually, this movie is stunning. You know, if you just want like, you know, a rollicking like space adventure kind of movie, you don't need to have seen the other stuff to watch this or to enjoy it. I say it's very much got shades of like The Last Starfighter or something like that, you know, where it's just like we've got like this kid thrown into a space adventure, you know, with some with their heroes, with the, you know, people that they've looked up to. You know, you're a kid with superpowers in the Marvel universe at this point that is well established. Like, you know, everyone knows that superheroes are everywhere. So this kid is like looking up to these people, and now she gets to play, or not play, but she's involved now. She's involved in the plot of like a bigger galactic threat. You know, Marvel get a lot of shit for the villains in some of these movies, and this one has definitely gotten a lot of shit for it. I thought it was kind of cool. Like, it's not really spoilery, but this villain, her planet, her homeworld has died. Like, the sun's burnt out, the skies are black, the ocean's fucked. You know, sound familiar, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, well, I want to restore my planet, you know, I want them to have fucking water and air and energy and sunlight and everything. And they do a bit of a botch job of like unfolding it. I always say botch job, but it's a little bit clunky, and it's kind of very back heavy in the movie as far as like the plot goes. Like, it's very like character and action heavy for like the first like two halves, and it isn't really until we start like getting into the third act that we kind of really reveal the plot. But this villain is like, well, my planet's got none of that good stuff, so I'm going to steal those things from other planets. So it's like, I'm going to go to this one planet, I'm going to take their oceans. I'm going to go to this other planet, I'm taking their air. You know what I mean? Like, she goes, and then in the big climax of the movie, again, this movie's been out for like a couple of weeks now, so who gives a fuck, right? And then she's like, I'm going to come to Earth, and I'm going to take your son. And I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really hard hitting, like, you know, as far as like the kind of global kind of political reverence goes, as far as like, you know, playing off of issues that we have got going on. Unfortunately, please sort it out, everyone. I don't want to die in a black hole, but not unless it's your mum's. But anyway, yeah, I'm padding it out because there's not a lot to talk about with this. The action's really well done. They're swapping about, they're flipping about. Samuel Jackson is in this movie. He's kind of more the comic relief in this. If you're expecting like some you know, heavy Samuel Jackson, you know, eye-piercing gravitas, you're not going to get that. But he's in there doing just fun, family-friendly Samuel Jackson type stuff. What else can we say about this? Brie Larson is really good. I think this is much better than the first one, both overall and for her, like inhabiting the character and kind of getting more of a feel for this character. You know, this is somebody who has, you know, like godlike powers, and they spend the majority of their time flying around in space, you know, doing big epic shit that doesn't involve a lot of social interaction. You know, she's super powerful, but also she's super fucking awkward. You know, I feel that. I love that. I'm all about it. The Miss Marvel's family, who come over from the TV show, is very much like in the Blue Beetle angle of like, we're going to have the normal family thrust into like this ridiculous situation. It doesn't play like cringy or sickening, you know, or whatever. Like, it's funny, but also it's like, you know, there's at least some semblance of them feeling the pressure and the stakes of kind of what's going on. It does a really good job balancing that of like just the fun and also, you know, the danger and everything else. There's a few things, like there's a couple of things that you're just like, oh, I don't know, like plot holey, character questionable kind of decisions or whatever. There's also a major scene of genocide in this movie that hit me really fucking hard as somebody who's not experienced genocide, because I'm white, obviously, privilege, but not yet. Anyway, we'll see how things go. But yeah, that fucking got me out of nowhere. They go to this planet. They're like, we're going to save the people on this planet. And, you know, you've got Miss Marvel, who's like, well, we're going to save everyone, right? We're going to save everyone, right? And you've got like the adult hero in the room is like, well, that's not really how it works. Sometimes you kind of just have to grab who you can and let people die. Like that's part of the, you know, that's part of the thing. And it gets you, man. It got me. Anyway, apparently it didn't get the critics, who mostly
when you
didn't
say
love
grab
this.
who you can, was it in a selective way or what?
Well, no, it's just like, okay, so we're going to unload like a brutal aerial assault on this planet, and there's only a limited amount of space on this one ship, and there's like a whole race of these alien people, and it's like, well, we've only got one ship, and if we spend all our time trying to save everyone, we're going to die, which means that we then can't get these people on the ship off, and you know what I mean? So it's all going to be for nothing kind of thing. And there's just this like haunting moment of just like that crushing realization of like, yeah, you want to be a superhero, kid? This is what it's like. You know, you're going to watch a lot more people die than you're going to watch a lot more fucking families be all happily reunited. That's the burden that you have to take. And this movie does carry that message really hard throughout it. Like, you know, who do you help? Who's beyond saving or beyond help? How do you decide that? Who decides that? You know, and it still sounds like fairly basic, like superhero morality. But I feel like a lot of that gets lost in the last few years because everyone wants to make it like, oh, it's superheroes, but it's political, or it's superheroes, but it's, you know, it's funny, or it's super, you know, there's always like you know, there's always like, everyone's always trying to like find a different angle to make it stand out from all the other ones that are coming out, and to just get straight into the nitty gritty of like, nah, this is like, you know, this is we boil it down to the core of like, how do you help? Who do you help? Why do you help? And I think this movie done that really well. So yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 alien cats. And if you've seen the movie, there's alien cats in the movie. So 3.5 out of 5, which it is good. It's good. It's not great. It's fine. It's a good time. Probably going to be on Disney Plus by Christmas. So there you go. That's Captain Marvel, everyone.
Nice.
You're probably not going to see it. That's fine. No pressure. Like, if we would have been rolling, you know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, then maybe we both would have seen the other one, the other movie or whatever. But here we are, everyone. This is the world as we have it, not as we want it. All right. So just fucking deal with it. He did that movie. I did this movie. And we're gonna quickly touch on, because I've got to get out of here for reasons. We both got to get out of here. We got busy schedules.
Work in the morning.
We both got work. we gotta keep it working.
Mhm.
And we wanted to talk about this. We've been wanting to talk about this for a while now, for at least a month. And we are, of course, talking about where evil lurks.
Fuck's sake, again? You're taking piss
Is it,
now. I know you fucking.
is it
You're
when
fucking.
evil lurks? When evil lurks, everyone. Where monsters dwell. No, it's where evil lurks. So we covered this a while ago. We talked about like the trailer and like it was upcoming, and this just sounded interesting. We were like, yeah, we'll cover this. And in the back of your head, we're thinking like, maybe we'll cover this, but we might not, because we don't know if this is going to get like any kind of release, really. You know, this is an Argentinian movie.
By Demian Rugner.
Fairly low budget. But my God, I don't want to give the game up straight away. This is the best horror movie I've seen all fucking year, George.
Hey.
What was going on? I sit down to watch this. I've made my dinner. I'm getting ready. And then literally, I'm like, we talked about this. We got to watch this. I'm looking forward to it. Great. I sit down. I'm eating my dinner. And as I start to watch it, I'm like, hang on a minute. Wasn't this the one that we covered because we said it was going to be really fucking dark and brutal? And my face kind of, you know, like that Mr. Incredible meme where like it goes to black and white.
Yeah.
I kind of did that, and I'm like,
I guess
oh fuck, this is the brutal one. This is the this is the really rough one. And then I'm watching it. I'm like, this ain't too rough. This is fine.
No. Initially,
it's heavy. It gets heavy. This is so good. This is like Evil Dead meets The Exorcist.
Yeah,
you know, it's got some heavy Romero vibes in there.
It's almost got, even with the kids and stuff, it's got like some almost Children of the Corn vibes.
Later on in the movie, for sure, it does have a lot of that kind of stuff. I do think that the third act of this movie is probably the weakest. I don't want to go too spoiler heavy here because I feel like a lot of people probably haven't seen this, and I think people should see this. But there's so it's a possession movie, right? So
briefly,
there's somebody's being possessed. What was that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've got like a pretty detailed, but I can hit like a brief rundown of the plot.
Yeah. I haven't got long, but yeah.
Yeah, but like
I really liked how like you just felt like you're just thrown into it with these two brothers, and you just feel like the relationship. You feel like it doesn't over explain anything. It kind of just lets you, like, it gives you enough information to put everything together of like the worlds that we're kind of inhabiting here. It's these two farmers, and somebody from like the next farm over has been like possibly possessed.
Yeah, they hear some gunshots. They find half a corpse.
They find half a. I love that shot, man, where they're just like, here's your body, and you just see the legs, and then the camera just pans up, and it's like, oh, it's just the legs.
Yeah. And then the dog's trying to, like, you know, eat whatever's coming out of it and stuff.
The dogs. Like, there's a lot of dogs in this movie doing things that dogs do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I felt like this
molding children.
You know, like, this felt like one of those like slow, contemplative kind of, you know, slow burn movies, but also it didn't, at the same time, it didn't fuck around. Like, every scene, even if it was like seemingly like not a lot was happening, everything was pushing the story forward, whether it be with the dialogue or, you know, like the cinematography, or, you know, like the character development. Like, everything in this movie mattered, but it still didn't feel like it was rushing to hit all these things to like, oh, you've got to know this, you've got to see this, you've got to do that kind of thing. It just took its own pace, and it was pretty dark and unnerving for a lot of it. Like a lot of commentary in here about like, you know, about like industrialization, or, you know, there's religious stuff, maybe depending on how you want to look at it, like very like, you know, pandemic commenting kind of, you know, like talking about like xenophobia, and, you know, really just gets to the core of like, you know, the good in people, the bad in people, and how those things affect each other in other people. And when you put people together in situations, you know, the best of intentions or the worst of intentions are just going to keep going against each other, and you don't know what kind of chaos that's going to bring. Did you like this, or did you hate it?
I did.
After all what I just said, did you hate it?
No, not at all. But I have to say, like, I had a similar. Well, I had a bit of a. I had to watch it like 3 times because I watched put it on like late the first 2 times.
Yeah.
First time I was watching it, and it got to where it first described. What do they call them? The rotter.
A rotter, yeah.
Rotten, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when it first shows the possessed, which they refer to as the rotten, it's just like this bloated, disgusting.
It's a rough-looking bloke.
Basically, he looks like he's dead already.
All practical.
Like, oh,
looks like they're doing like, you know, creature kind of John Carpenter-esque like effects in this.
Yeah,
like it's like nothing almost. It's just like, oh well, that's just how that guy looks, or this is just how this thing is. Like it doesn't feel like the focus at all, but also it's really fucking well done.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to return to, because obviously the first time I got to that part that I was talking about, and then I don't remember anything else. I just fell asleep. The second time, I fell asleep early on again. Like both, these are like, you know, midnight or later. I put them on, and then the second time, it literally like I woke up and it was the ending where it shows the brother Pedro or whatever and his
the son.
Autistic son.
This happened to me on one of my viewings as well. I fell asleep for like the last like 20 minutes. I woke up and he's fucking sitting at the table and he's doing the thing. And I'm like, fuck. They handled that character really well. Like they used it in the plot, but not like it wasn't distasteful. I felt like that played in really well into it.
I got to say though, that scene out of context, when you just see that like brought up, and then he literally goes out into the garden, like drops to his knees or whatever. Like it was just, I was so like, you know, I just woken up, like I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and then
mate,
like,
it's that the movie is like just loads of increasingly hard gut punches.
Yeah.
You know, like when these possessed people, you know, it's very like Evil Dead, where they're gonna like hone in on like the worst parts or your fears or your insecurities, but it doesn't go so hard where it's like cartoony. It's like this is like what people would say to each other in an argument, like without being possessed. Like it's really close to the bone, you know, the relationship with his ex-wife and you know, and the kids, and like, and again, like the way that they kind of, all the information is delivered, like, and all the character history is delivered through the dialogue, but just natural. It's not like, it doesn't, none of it feels like exposition.
No, it's not
whereas like a lot of movies, it'd be like, oh, you're my friend George, I haven't seen you since that time and you know, and it just feels so fucking, you know, it's just forced and whatever. Like this film, it delivers I want to say enough information as you go along, but it's always like just slightly less than enough information that like establishes like the world of
Yeah,
like, okay, so possession is a thing that happens, but it doesn't seem like everyone is as aware of it or conscious of it as other
no,
people. Maybe some people don't believe it, you know, kind of
yeah,
thing. Again, you can apply that to like real world, you know, situations over the last few years.
yeah,
But I thought it juggled it all masterfully. Yeah, I was really this is great. This is instantly like one of my like favorite horror movies. I was really impressed with this. A lot of the time it's hard to like judge the performances when a movie's in subtitles, but I felt like there was looks that they were given in this movie that just told me so
hmm
much.
yeah.
And
I genuinely thought there was strong performances across the board. Um,
absolutely,
even with the kids, like there's a couple. There was one part with the like mother or whatever, which was a bit not forced exposition, but it was like it did its thing.
yeah, no, I know that. I
That
think
was
I
just
know kind of
establishing
what you
something.
mean.
Yeah, establishing something with the rotten, the possessed, which that there's things with like certain concepts here that we haven't really seen in other possession films. Whereas, like obviously killing them with a gun or
I
certain
love
ways
that. Yeah,
bring
because like this evil that
look.
lurks or whatever, it's like it's contagious, and certain things that you do or don't do can either
Yeah,
like heighten the spread or not.
mm,
And I thought that was really interesting. And it's just like everyone has it in them to do the things that are going to make this thing spread more. Like
hmm
whether or not you see something that somebody that looks like they're possessed, or something that looks like not what you want to kill them, or maybe you want to rob or be like opportunistic, or even if you just like lie or just have like hate in your heart, like it will find it, and it
mm,
will just like it will come out. But is it coming out because of the thing, or is it just because of people in these high pressure situations? And the main character, who obviously seems like throughout the whole movie is under the most amount of stress, somehow seems to coast and ride it along better than everyone else. Because he's kind of like, and we find out
mm,
later on in the movie that because he's maybe not so happy, and he's kind of got less to lose than a lot
yeah,
of the other characters, and that's kind of why he's able to last as long as he does.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a shame we haven't got as much time to talk about it because there's a lot to talk about with this. But yeah, man, I was taken aback by it. Like I said, with that scene that I woke up on, and then when I actually had it into context, it was put into context, and the penny drops. You're just like, oh fuck, like that moment at the end. You're just like, wow.
Yeah, it's rough. Again, we're skirting around this because
Yeah,
we'd like people to see this because this is one of the coolest original horror movies that I've seen in quite a long time.
yeah,
Um, and
I
it
to
sounds
agree.
like you agree. So
Definitely.
definitely go and watch um, Why Evil Lurks, and let us know what you think. Drop it in the comments. Sorry, George, I've
Yeah.
got to wrap this up. I will
What was your rating?
explain in a minute. What's that?
Quick rating.
Quick rating. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 apple ice creams,
Nice.
because apple ice cream is something that I've never tried, and it sounds like it might be horrible, but also I want to try that. So
So do you
4
like
out of
going
5.
like
I really like this. I
hair
thought it went a bit too broad in the third act, and it tried to introduce too many new elements that kind of detracted from just like the tension a little bit. But
right?
if it wasn't for that, this would be a 5. But either way, tip top classic horror movie.
Yeah.
And
I'll give it 4 out of 5 axes to the face. Um, No,
yeah, and the goat. As soon as that goat, it's like the gloves are off. I was like, oh fuck, this movie just changed directions. You'll know what we're talking about as soon as you get to the goat scene, and then it just fucking runs from there. And speaking of running, we got to run, everybody.
And we'll catch you next time on the Poproast podcast. Peace.